specifically transferred. And instead, he viewed it as that he was working directly with Michael Cohen as an independent entity. This is, for the prosecution, on the other hand, also a witness, though, who is able to corroborate and authenticate a great amount of evidence, particularly emails, during this crucial 24-hour period of October 26th and October 27th, in which Gary Farrow, the banker, says that Michael Cohen had urgency for creating this account, and then not only on creating the account on October 26th and transferring from his own home equity line of credit that very afternoon, but then the following morning ensuring that from that new account they were able to initiate the wire transfer of $131,000 to Stormy Daniels' attorney. He authenticated several of those emails showing the urgency in which Michael Cohen was moving to ensure that that transaction took place in a timely fashion, Jose.
And so, Vaughn, meanwhile, bring us up to speed on the whole gag order violations that the judge decided on early this morning.
Right. It was not clear when Judge Merchan was going to, or if he ever was going to, rule on the allegations that Donald Trump had violated his gag order that he had placed on him at the beginning of this trial. And this morning, he began today by ruling that 9 of the 10 social media posts that the DA's office brought to him were, in fact, violations of his gag order. He has held Donald Trump in contempt, fining him $1,000 for each of those 9 social media posts. He has ordered Donald Trump to remove those posts by this afternoon. And he noted as part of his order that he wished that he had the discretion to change the fine amount, understanding that for not all individuals who are held in contempt, $1,000 fine may not be the punishment necessary to keep them from further violating such gag order. And he said because that discretion is not left up to him here in the New York State court system, that he could potentially foresee using jail time as a punishment against Donald Trump to keep him from violating his gag order moving forward. One other note when it comes to those violations, there was questions of whether Judge Merchan would rule that a repost of somebody else's post attacking, for instance, Michael Cohen, necessitated the determination that that was a violation of the gag order. And Judge Merchan was very explicit. I want to read you this part of his order. He said, "There can be no doubt whatsoever that the defendant's intent and purpose when reposting is to communicate to his audience that he endorses and adopts the posted statements as his own." So Judge Merchan, again, 9 of the 10 social media posts brought to him, he has determined have violated it. And on Thursday, there is going to be yet another gag order hearing over other potential violations that the district attorney, Alvin Bragg's office, says violate that gag order, Jose.
Maya, what do you make of the judge's ruling on these gag violations? And I'm just thinking, is it like a system by which you say, and the judge said, I wish I had the possibility of increasing those fines, right, to $1,000. Is it that on Thursday he could decide to increase? In other words, how does that work?
Yeah, well, first, let's just say this, and I think this is really important to understand. There is a statute that the judge is paying attention to that says the court has to protect judicial proceedings and the respect for the mandate of the court, the orders of the court. And just remember, Donald Trump was not ordered to be silent about the case. He was only ordered to not speak about witnesses, jurors, court personnel, or their families. In other words, the very things that Donald Trump has then run out and done in other cases, but also has done repeatedly in this case. So essentially what we're seeing here is the judge saying, I'm going to take the reasonable step of fining you the maximum that I am allowed, which is $1,000 per instance that you violated my order. And remember, he did, I think, 9 out of 10, so he didn't find all of them in contempt. But the point and the message he's sending is, look, don't keep doing this. And if I could, I would charge more. I would fine you more. But the reason is because I am trying to tell you, give you all the disincentives to disrespecting this court and disrespecting the process, disrespecting the orders, in order to say, get in line and just do what's right here. So what he's also saying is, but I've got more I can do, and I will if you make me. And it's that simple, because he can keep fining him $1,000 each time he does it. But his point, I think, is pretty clear, which is Donald Trump is a wealthy man. And so $9,000 may not be disincentive to someone who has all the money that Donald Trump tells us all the time that he has.
And so, David, right now there is a break for the jury, but the prosecution and the defense is meeting with the judge now. And among the things that the prosecution is asking for is, and it's interesting because he says here that, they want supplemental Sandoval notice for Trump specifically. What does that mean?
So what they're saying is they want to be able to cross-examine Trump on these violations of the gag order. And the prosecution has to be careful about overplaying their hand because Trump wants chaos, right? That's what he's playing on. That's what he's hoping for. The $9,000, as Maya said, that's not even a slap on the wrist. It's more like a pat on the back. And he's going to keep violating. He's going to keep doing it. But what the prosecutor saying now is we want to be able to cross-examine him on this. And this is what led to problems in the Harvey Weinstein case that led to a reversal last week. So the prosecution has to be really careful about overplaying its hand and saying we want to use all of this stuff for cross-examination to show the jury. And I'm sure Trump's loving it.
But if you cross-examine Trump, that means that he would have to agree to be a witness on this.
Correct. And so what the prosecution is saying is if he is a witness, we want the ability to cross-examine. And in New York, the judge has to rule on that in advance of him coming on the stand so the defense knows what's fair game for cross and what's not fair game.
So, Maya, the judge is going to hold that hearing this Thursday on the 4 more alleged gag order violations. What does this decision potentially mean for Thursday?
Well, I think it just means that we're going to find out if there's more fines or if the judge is going to feel it necessary to take a more extreme step and find some way to sanction Donald Trump that either has him sitting in the back of the courtroom, not the front. There are all kinds of ways the judge can put him in a form of contempt that reduces where and how he's positioned in the courtroom. But I think, and equally importantly, and to David's point, look, part of what the prosecution may be doing here is saying, we actually want to make sure you keep talking out here. We're actually going to be able to cross-examine you if you take the stand on things you're saying that go directly to the facts that need to be established in this case, like the fact that he's out here saying, hey, it was just a business transaction. It wasn't mine, and I didn't have anything. Michael Cohen just did some things. He does a lot of things for other people. That actually goes straight to Donald Trump's intent and what he did and did not do. And I would say that would be an overstep in that instance. At the same time, I think it's also a warning to Donald Trump. You do have other reasons why you might want to be careful about what you say.
And David, I know that you know a lot of the people that are involved in this trial, as well as the other trials upcoming for the former president. Blanche specifically, he is right now there fighting in this whole issue. How would you describe that legal team that the former president has in this case?
Todd's a great guy. He's a friend. He's doing everything he can. I saw that there were leaks this weekend about, Trump being unhappy. And, it reminds me of the story with Blanche. And it reminds me of the story of the scorpion and the frog, right? The scorpion asked the frog for a ride across the lake. And the frog thinks, if I do this, am I going to get stung? Of course not, because then we'd both drown. And, of course, the scorpion stings the frog halfway across. And as they're drowning, the frog says, why'd you do that? And the scorpion says, it's in my nature. This is in Trump's nature. He cannot help himself. He wants chaos. He wants to attack the judge, the jury, and now his lawyers. I feel for Todd. He's in a very, very, very difficult position.
And what teeth does the judge have on gag order violations going forward? Is it always going to be another 1,000, or jail?
Well,
or as Maya was saying, moving him?
He can, moving him is an option. I don't think the judge is going to do that. Trump wants to be put in jail. He wants the chaos. He wants the judge to take that step so he can complain. It's almost like the graduation thing. He was better off when the judge was saying you can't go to graduation. This morning, the judge said you can go. Now Trump doesn't have that to complain about. So Trump is pushing the judge for this for this, break point where the judge has to put him in jail. Trump is not going to stop based on a couple $1,000s. I will guarantee you that.
Everyone stay with us, if you would. Still ahead, as we wait for the jury to come back into the courtroom, we'll take a look at who could be up next on the stand. Plus, what Trump told Time magazine about his plans to change America if he wins the election. We're back in 60 seconds. You're watching Jose Diaz Balart Reports on MSNBC.
Explore the world the Viking way. From the quiet comfort of elegant small ships with no children and no casinos. We actually have reinvented ocean voyages, designing all-inclusive experiences for the thinking person. Viking, voted world's best by both Travel + Leisure and Condé Nast Traveler. Learn more at Viking.com.
Liberty Mutual customized my car insurance and I saved hundreds.
That's great.
I know, I've been telling everyone.
Liberty. Liberty. How many people did you tell?
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, liberty, liberty.
Liberty.
I'm adding Downy Unstoppables to my wash. Now I'll be smelling fresh all day long. Still fresh.
So fresh.
Get 6 times longer lasting freshness plus odor protection. Try for under $5.
13 past the hour, we are back with our breaking news. Right now, we are in the morning recess on day 9 of the hush money criminal trial of former President Donald Trump. Back with us, NBC's Vaughn Hilliard outside the courthouse, as well as Maya Wiley and David Marcus. So, Vaughn, the lawyers and the judge are still talking. There is no break for them. What's the latest?
Right. The jury is not currently in the room as this debate is taking forth in front of Judge Marchand between the prosecution, which is making the case here that they believe that the defense is going to open up the door during this trial in front of the jury, in which they question the veracity and the credibility of Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen specifically, as it pertains to suggestions that Donald Trump has even publicly made himself that they are profiting off of their attempts to get Donald Trump, or that they are somehow using this and the indictment against him in the trial for their own benefit. And what the prosecution is attesting to the judge is that they should be able to bring evidence forward to the jury that counters not only that narrative that they believe the defense team will try to use against their key witnesses, but they also believe that this evidence in defense of these witnesses, Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen, can help show a consciousness of guilt on Donald Trump's part, essentially making the case that, look, Donald Trump is attacking them for XYZ reasons because he knows that they're telling the truth about him, and he is trying to intimidate and undermine their credibility with the jury because he knows that they know the truth about him, and he does not want them to testify, and his best path to convincing the jury of this is by undermining their credibility. That is where the defense team is pushing back, and this is ultimately going to be determined by Judge Marchand, the extent to which evidence